Customs of the Tagalog, written by Padre Juan de Plasencia. Padre Juan de Plasencia was born in the 16th century to the illustrious family of the Portocarreros in Plasencia in the region of Extremadura, Spain. His real name is Juan de Puerto Carrero del Convento de Villanueva de la Serena. He was a Spanish friar of the Franciscan order who said to have been inspired to be a Franciscan because of his upbringing spent during a spiritual and religious resurgence affected by Spain's Siglo de Oro. Treated as an exceptional historical document as far as the history of the Philippines is concerned, the customs of the Tagalog, which is Las Costumbres de los Indios Tagalog de Filipinas, had a massive significant effect to the early legal system of the country. Not only did it preserve formally unwritten customs, traditions, and belief of the native Filipinos for future generations to study, analyze, and learn from, but it also gave the Philippines its first civil code, used by the alcaldes mayores in their administrations of justice among the people. Written in 1589, during the Spanish colonial period, the Customs of the Tagalog is a part of other longer scholarly academic papers written by the chroniclers of the Spanish expeditions to the Philippines. The document was written by Spanish Franciscan friar Padre Juan de Plasencia, who was part of the first batch of the Franciscan missionaries to arrive in the Philippines on July 2, 1578. Padre Juan de Plasencia is most notably known for writing the Doctrina Christiana. It is one of the earliest books on catechism in the Philippines, and it is believed to be the first book ever printed in the country. Remarkably, the book was not only printed in Spanish, but also in Tagalog, in both Latin script and the commonly used by Bayan script of the natives of the time, and it even had a version in Chinese. The friar is described by many of his biographers as passionate, religious, in his mission to bring Catholicism to the Philippines. Being only 2 months in Manila after his arrival, he was already preaching around Laguna de Bay area and as far as Tayabas, the present Quezon province, converting the natives to Catholicism.
His untiring work and missionary zeal pushed him further in the foundation and organization of several towns, not only in Laguna and Tayabas, but also in the present provinces of Bulacan and Rizal, and these were Tayabas, Calilaya, Lucban, Mayhay, Nagcarlang, Lillo, Pila, Santa Cruz, Lumbang, Pangil, Sinaloan, Morong, Antipolo, Taytay, and Maykawayan. According to the testimonies of his biographers, Padre Juan de Plasencia was moved by his zealous passion to the conversion of natives that he would travel on foot and visited the areas where the natives dwelled, and he wholeheartedly plunged himself into the laborious study of the native language and the foundation of numerous towns. Padre Juan de Plasencia is also noted to have written a mystical work entitled La Santina. It was an opus number on prayer and contemplation entirely done in the Tagalog language, so the natives who did not know Spanish could also engage in the spiritual exercises of their teachers. After several dedicated years of hard work, converting the natives, teaching catechisms, and organizing towns and barangays, he finally succumbed to death in 1590. He passed away in Liliw, in the province of Laguna. The ultimate goal of the missionary priest that came to the Philippines was to bring Catholicism to the country in order to bring peace, justice, and faith among the natives through the teachings of the Catholic faith. But achieving this goal proved to have its challenges. In 1583, there were some reported cases of natives uprising against the encomenderos. Apparently, the reason was the abuses and maltreatment that the native workers received from these encomenderos, who tried to enrich themselves by enslaving the latter Dr. Santiago de Vera, who came in 1584 to rule the new audiencia in Manila, was a witness to these maltreatments. He decided that in order to be just in his decisions, he needed to know the customs, traditions, and government of the natives. Knowing the reliable abilities of Padre Juan de Plasencia, Dr. de Vera wrote to the Padre, asking if he would inform him in regard to the social and political organizations of the Tagalogs. Thus, the customs of the Tagalogs was created.
Aside from being an important documentation of the customs and traditions of the native Filipinos during the Spanish colonial period, this also gave them, the natives, the opportunity to protect and defend themselves in legal cases, and for the administrators of justice to conduct their duties and obligations accordingly. Padre Juan de Plasencia was also a witness to the injustices experienced by the natives. With his passion and devotion for the natives, it is believed that the main objective of Padre Juan de Plasencia when he composed the customs of Tagalogs was to put an end to some injustices being committed against the natives by certain government officials. It also speaks of the barangay consisting of 100 houses as the unit of government, ruled by a dadu or maginoo. It also explains that the natives are divided into three distinct social classes. The first are the maharlika, nobility, and freemen. They do not pay tax but are required to accompany and serve the datus during war. The social class are the aliping mamamahay, commoners. They are able to live and own a house. They are also to own any possessions they earn which their children can inherit. The jobs are to serve their master, but their master cannot sell them. The last kind of social class are the aliping sagigilid, the slaves. They are required to work at the field plantations of their masters. These are usually the people that we capture during war and became slaves of their captors. They can be sold and traded as well as their children.
It also describes ownership of property, children, natural and adopted marriage, and crimes and punishment. It also explains the relation between these social classes and the origin of each. Thus, it states three ways of how a man may become a slave, namely birth, death, and captivity in war. It tells as well of the king and of the duties he rendered to his subject. Padre Juan de Palencia's work is truly a remarkable piece of history that we are fortunate enough to have. But the original documents is, after all, a list of observation and judgment made by the friar. At the end of the day, he is still a foreigner, he is still a stranger to the culture of the natives. Therefore, it is the probable that Juan de Palencia's work might contain partially and bias. But even if this is the case, these documents has continued to serve a basis for historical reconstruction of the Tagalog society. Even if it is a list of personal conclusion and perception of the friar, the documents is still a first-hand account of the native society given the amount of time and work that Padre Juan de Palencia has done. There is a huge probability that the document contains the simple truths of our customs. It is extraordinary that many of beliefs and practices that were present during that time are still existing today. One of the positive learning we can get from the documents is that affirmation that the native Filipinos already have a form of government and a set of beliefs and practices before the Spanish colonization. But it is noteworthy that some of our perception on Filipino beliefs and practices are somehow different from Juan de Palencia's point of view. With that being said, our society in the modern times can look at the document, study it, and learn from it. With the knowledge from the past, Filipino of the present generation can hopefully avoid the mistakes of the past so that the future generation can have a better future.